Welcome to Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial, the home for financial advice in a language you can understand. Created by Marc Freedman of Freedman Financial, he and his team of certified financial planner professionals will discuss timely topics that help individuals and families make smart financial decisions. And now, get ready for this week's edition of Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial.
Welcome back to another edition of Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial. My name is Marc Freedman.
And I'm Christian Karcher.
And we're here to provide you with some financial advice in a language you can understand. Well, we are approaching the Super Bowl this weekend, Christian.
Oh, that is true. I think
by the time they see it, by the time this group sees it, we'll already know who the winner is. And so will you. But in the meantime, nobody knows.
Well,
at least we don't know.
That is correct.
So we can just sit here and speculate. Here in Boston, it's... it's interesting. I think we were talking about this. When the Patriots were winning all these Super Bowls, and they won their first one, and they built the dynasty, all that kind of stuff, there were shops that popped up everywhere.
This is what I hear.
Yeah. Does it feel like there's a Super Bowl going on in town? Do you see it anywhere?
I saw it on the corner of Lowell Street and Route 1.
The Hallmark building.
Yes.
Yep.
Exiting there, and there was a little pop-up shop. They were selling Patriots gear, but other than that, I haven't seen a lot of advertisement about it.
Yeah, it's really interesting that I just remember the first time the Patriots got into the Super Bowl, there were shops popping up everywhere. You could buy playoff T-shirts, Super Bowl T-shirts, all this stuff. This year, I think there's more talk right now about the equipment bus or the equipment truck from Fenway Park heading down to Florida than there is on the Super Bowl. That is, if you're not listening to sports radio. If you're listening to sports radio, they're talking about it because that's where they are. They're all out in Santa Clara. But it's really interesting, I think, how different the vibe is here because the Patriots just have won this thing so many times.
Well, lucky you guys.
Yeah, I know.
As an out-of-towner, I am envious of your apathy about it. But
but it's exciting. Are you rooting for the Patriots or the Seahawks? Be honest. You can tell the crowd here. It's okay.
I might not be rooting for anyone. I don't know. I don't really like the Seahawks as a Packers fan who has run into the Seahawks in a few playoffs over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say it, I don't really want you guys to be that happy in the office because then I have to hear Sonia talk about all of her championships between the Celtics a few years ago and the Patriots.
That is true. If you swing by the office, you'll see that we've got lots of sports memorabilia here, both for the Patriots, the Celtics, and the Red Sox. Not much for hockey, though, right?
Not a lot of memorabilia for hockey, except for me. I've got a couple, with the Olympics coming up, I've got a signed hockey puck from Mark Johnson, who is the captain of the Miracle on Ice hockey team.
Oh.
He now coaches the Wisconsin women's hockey team. And so I've met him a few times.
Well, it's funny. You mentioned the Olympic hockey team, and here in Massachusetts, I think if anybody were to list names of people that on that Olympic hockey team, I would have not known that name. All I would have known is Micah Ruzioni and Jim Craig. Jim Craig?
Yes.
Jim Craig, the goalie, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's about it. Besides that, I guess.
Well, those are the Boston guys. You have to think about the upper Midwest guys who came primarily from Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan.
You mean there's other parts of the world besides just Massachusetts?
And they play hockey there too. It's amazing.
Well, we talk about how big this country is and different parts of the world that many people never see. And one of the things that we find our clients talk to us about more than anything else is when they retire, how much they want to travel. And it's really interesting to explore what travel means for our clients when they say they want to travel.
That's right, because some people say, "Oh, I want to spend a lot of money traveling in retirement," and for them, a lot of money traveling is, maybe $10,000 a year. Other people say, "Give me the whirlwind tour. Let's go all the way around the globe," and maybe that's a once a lifetime trip, but spending $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on vacationing in a year.
But when we suggest to our clients that, tell us what that vacation looks like, and they tell us how they're going about it, and I said, have you considered traveling business class? Oh, I would never spend money on business class, right?
That is very common, and that's how they were able to save up and retire.
They were, but so many people have been so good in retirement, at least the clients that we're seeing, that they have saved so much money that they don't know what to do with it. And in fact, all they can think about doing is not only not running out of it, but leaving a large amount of money for the next generation.
That's right. Even the people who can afford to fly business class, very often they go, yeah, I understand I can afford it. Even when you convince them, you can afford this. They go, I just can't think of spending my money on that comfort. That it just doesn't seem worth it to me. And so then you say, well, what else are you going to do with it? And they say, I don't know. I'll leave it to the kids.
But then you ask them the next question. If you were to leave all this money to your kids, do you think they'll travel business class? And what's the answer?
The answer is probably going to be a yes.
Because to them, it's free money. Well, they're going to stay at the nicest places, stay nicest hotels, travel the best way they can, eat the best kind of food. Because you know what? And I oftentimes blame myself, and Laura and I talk about it, and others do, is that we have spoiled this generation of kids so much that they feel very comfortable spending money on upgraded items.
Right, and enhanced comfort and experience, and a little bit more simplicity.
Yeah, but it is the generation, and perhaps even your generation, maybe you can speak to this, Christian, are people saving as diligently as the generation before them? Do they feel the need to save as diligently?
I think it depends on who you talk to.
Mm-hmm.
So I see this very often as kind of almost the cycle of generations. So the people who have done a really good job of earning money, saving for retirement, are set up to have a good retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes their children get a little bit more loose with their spending because they know mom and dad have plenty of money. Well, despite the fact that we tell people do not rely on inheritance, there are a lot of people that do say, oh, I'm expecting money from my parents. I don't need to save as much.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are other people in my generation who have parents who did not do a good job of saving, and they have gone the other way. I think if you actually look at the numbers, millennials and Gen Z are saving a much higher percentage of their income than baby boomers or Gen X at the same time period of their lives. But I think they're spending on very different things as well.
Yeah, I mean, they may be saving money, but the Gen Z, I think the reports suggested that Gen Z may be saving money, but where are they saving their money?
Well,
It's not really going to the stock market, is it?
Well, Gen Z is starting to trend that way. The millennials are very, on
Cash
average,
driven, right?
Cash-driven and cautious. And if you think about it, it makes sense. The start of the millennials were entering the workforce and graduating college right around the 08, 09 market crash. And so that was a bit scarring for them. A lot of them, employment was very high, particularly among young people at that time. And so that kind of has kept with that generation as a little bit more cautious in their investing philosophy. Gen Z has kind of gone the other way, where they saw a worldwide pandemic and the market recover within 3 months.
So quickly.
They did not feel as much of that pain. And so you see the younger generation than my generation even, the people younger than me, really saving into stocks. And one of the things that you also see is they're saving more into the market because many of them don't feel that they will anytime soon be able to save up enough money to put a down payment on a home.
On a home, because they just figure the house is too expensive. But so let's talk about that for a minute. So what do you think about this? And we've kind of gone all over the place. We started with traveling and whatever, but the millennials that I'm finding, they don't really necessarily want to save into the traditional investments that many people have gotten used to, mutual funds, index funds, putting money into their 401k, whatever else it might be. They want to buy, they want a quick hit. They want to use Robinhood. They want to buy an individual stock. They want to buy cryptocurrencies. They want to buy all sorts of things. What do you think of that?
Well, there's a few different elements to this. The Robinhood effect, I would almost call it, has been really prevalent because it's the gamification of investing.
It is.
So it's just like when you've got Candy Crush and you swipe a few times and you get the big exploding candy things and it starts lighting up. Same thing with slot machines. The reason that there's all the buzzers, all the lights, is to keep you drawn in and to have the dopamine hit your brain. And they have done that with the investing app, which is exceptionally dangerous. So there's the one side of it which causes this speculating, gamification, which can be very detrimental because there's these massive swings and people are buying investments that they really don't understand. On the other side, I think there's a lot of young people who have seen, over the last 10 years, when you look at the stock market, the big names are the ones that have done the best. So think of the big growth names and names that are very prevalent to young people: Amazon, Apple, Facebook. Those are
Right.
names they grew up with, and they have seen great growth in those individual companies. And despite the fact that those companies have had pullbacks throughout the years, they've performed better than the rest of the market over a shorter period of time. And so they think, oh, I'm going to keep doing that. Now, if you've looked at the last week or so, and we'll see what it looks like once this comes out,
Right.
but some of those names have pulled back a little bit as the AI trade is kind of shifting. And so,
As has the cryptocurrency trade,
oh, absolutely.
the precious metals trade, all of these things have all kind of adjusted. But it's interesting, many people that are using the Robinhoods, and I'm just using them as an example, but like you said, the gamification of it, it's not just buying straight securities anymore.
Right.
It's not just buying, I want to buy, in Robinhood, you can buy 0.37 shares of something,
Right.
but you can play the options world. And that's a world that you and I, we stay far away from that for our clients. But all of a sudden, this younger generation seems like they can beat the system, gamify the
Right.
system by playing the options. And that can be even more dangerous.
Right, because it's an all or nothing thing. You put the money in, and if certain prices aren't hit or not hit, you lose all of the investment.
Yeah.
And with those particularly, I see that as, for a retail investor, strictly gambling. Most of those options on the other side, the people selling you those options or buying the options from you, are professionals who are doing it to either hedge risk in a mutual fund or a hedge fund portfolio, or are doing it to capture some arbitrage in the marketplace. And they've got computers that are running these systems and being really efficient.
Right.
And
they pull the emotion out of it. This is
Absolutely.
purely a business decision. It is mechanical, it is thoughtful. They have entry points, exit points, all of that stuff. But when you're doing it on your own, when your kids are doing it on your own, or anybody for that matter, you're just in it for the action, for the dopamine rush, for whatever it is.
Right.
Look, the same thing we're seeing happening right now as we talk about the Super Bowl, we're seeing it in sports betting. I mean,
Yeah.
sports betting has become a whole nother world of, and in this case, it isn't, well, I made 10% or I lost 20%. You either make big or you lose it all. That's
Right.
kind of what happens, right?
yeah, and it is so prevalent. I mean, you turn on any sporting event and they've got like the little side thing showing you the odds. I was at the Celtics game just the other day, and there's a family sitting in front of us, and there's a dad and his son, and then they've got a friend and another child and his father as well sitting there. And one of the dads is pulling out his DraftKings app, and he's explaining how sports betting works to his probably 6-year-old son.
Yeah.
And I mean,
And you can make, it's called live betting now on these sports betting apps.
That's right.
I mean, it could be the third quarter of the Celtics game, and with 4 minutes and 17 seconds left, and you can make a bet right now on who's going to make the next shot.
that's right.
And just like that, I mean, just boom. And you either win or lose. Boom, just like that.
That's right.
And I mean, that is what you call extreme speculation.
Right.
That is gambling for sure because it's instantaneous.
Mm-hmm.
When we're helping our clients invest and prepare for the future,
Right.
we are preparing them to invest for the long term.
Right.
So there's a lot of education that goes along with investing for the long term. None of this speculative stuff, because we want you to have this pool of money that allows you to buy the things that matter most in your life when you want to spend money.
That's right.
Back to the travel thing of wanting to go on these trips. But I want people to think about this item. Back in the 70s, back in the 80s, and I know that's before you were born, but when parents or grandparents passed away back then, what was passed on to the next generation? Usually not much. Maybe there was a house that was worth $29,900, or they'd say $29,900. And maybe there was $1,000 or $2, if that got passed along and split amongst the kids. But the pension stopped, Social Security stopped. There was no highly appreciated house. There was no 401k plan. There was no trust account. There was no big cash value of life insurance. None of that stuff.
Right.
So when you stopped working or you died, you basically lived within what was called a fixed income.
Right.
And we do not live in a fixed income world anymore, do we?
No, it's kind of a choose your own adventure.
It really is.
Especially with the pensions kind of going away over time and 401ks building up. Now you get to retirement and you've got, say, $1 million in a 401k.
And a house that might be worth $1 million.
That's right. And it used to be, okay, you've got a pension that just pays you out over your life. Now,
and you got to live within the scope of that.
You have to say, okay, how much money do I need in each of these years? And then instead of budgeting for big items, you're instead saying, oh, I'll just draw it from my 401k. I think a lot of people in retirement, not that budgeting is a great word for it, but they don't parcel out their money for future expenses. They say, I'm going to just pull it from my account if I need another big expense. They don't say, okay, I'm going to take $200 out of my Social Security check each month and put it aside so I can buy a car next year.
Right, but there's that big fear of running out of money. And if your portfolio is managed properly, along with the understanding of everything else in your financial life, knowing what some of those income streams are that are going to continue, whether it is a pension or Social Security, knowing what you have to take as a minimum distribution from your retirement account, or what you can comfortably draw from your investment portfolio, oftentimes there's a lot of excess because we've totally forgotten about the value of the house, which can be just as much as what you had in an investment portfolio. And that's getting passed along to the kids along with all this money. So when it's time to travel, if you have the resources and you have someone that can give you that guidance and comfort level, we want you to spend. We want you to go on those business class trips. We want you to stay at nicer hotels. I want you to take private tours rather than driving around in a bus with 30 other people, and you go at the pace of the lowest common denominator on the bus. That's not fun for you. That's not what you signed up for. You signed up for adventure in retirement. The opportunity to take your kids on these trips, to spend time with the grandkids, to do all of those things. At Freedman Financial, our focus in providing you financial advice in a language you can understand is making sure that you know how to maximize all that you've built over those years and live life to its fullest. That's going to wrap it up for us this week. We've been at this a few minutes, and I know we jumped all over the place, but it's always great to have Christian with us. He always offers a nice, fresh perspective on our podcasts, and we will be back again next week with more financial advice in a language you can understand. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you later.
During today's episode of Dollars and Cents with Freedman Financial, your host may have discussed specific financial planning and investment ideas that are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. Please remember that investing involves risk and may include loss of principal. Always consult a certified financial planner professional, qualified attorney, or tax advisor prior to investing to determine what is appropriate for you. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA, SIPC.